Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's Doing. Adrian Teh is a visionary Malaysian film director known for his impactful contributions to the Malaysian cinema landscape. With a diverse portfolio spanning various genres, Adrian has established himself as a prominent figure in the industry, captivating audiences with his unique storytelling prowess and cinematic flair. From thought provoking dramas to high octane action films, Adrian's work consistently showcases his ability to engage viewers while shedding light on important societal issues. Adrian's dedication to pushing creative boundaries and amplifying Malaysian narratives has earned him widespread acclaim both domestically and internationally, making him a trailblazer in the realm of Southeast Asian filmmaking. Welcome, Adrian, to What's Doing. Thank you so much for taking time out and coming for the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, tell me about what has been your journey. How did you get into filmmaking and what was your journey all about?
With a blink of an eye, it's like 16 years already.
Wow.
Time passes, right? So I started off in 2008. I started off as a freelancer like everybody else. I've worked in different departments. I've worked in art department, location, wardrobe, PA, all sorts of productions that I've been into.
You've done all the coolie work.
Not to say there are few departments that I have not I never involved in, which is the technical department and AD. I was never in any technical department. I was never had any job as an AD before. But I've worked in commercials, dramas, corporate videos, of course movies. So even when I was in university, when I was studying in university in Penang, actually, I was a very active person. So I kind of like get connected to some of the production people in KL. So when I was in university for I think 3 years or 4 years time, and then whenever there were like productions coming to Penang to shoot, I would get involved with those productions. So I get to know people. So that's how I got to know my partners, when I was in university time, and So I since I was 15 years old, ever since I watched that movie Godzilla, I always wanted to be a filmmaker because I was amazed and impressed by how can filmmakers make something out of the world, to present it to people right in front of your eyes and make it believable. Of course, you like the story, you don't like the story, that's another thing, right? But workable, presentable, and it's impressive. It's like it hooked me since then. So I just want to get involved in production. I don't care if there's any prospect or if there's any future to it. My mom was the biggest critics to me that time. Like, come on lah, boy, you want to be a...
They cut you down. They make sure that...
Yeah, make sure you look at reality with bloods and with sweats and everything, and make sure you don't go there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. But my mom is my biggest fan right now, like literally my number one fan right now. So then that's how I started my journey in 2008. My first job, if I remember correctly, it was Astro's short series, something like that. Yeah, I work as a location assistant. That was my first job. And then my first movie was Ais Kacang Puppy Love. That was screened in 2010. I think I was lucky in a way because I always wanted to make films. And then I got to know Alian, my partner, my ex-partner right now. So that time, I was very close with him, and then I brought this idea to him, because he's a very experienced producer in Malaysia, right? So just one fine day in 2008, I think I told him, hey, why isn't there any people in Malaysia thought of making a movie that gathers all, because Malaysia we have a lot of famous Chinese actors, singers, or artists in the region, not just in Malaysia, right? So I asked him that why hasn't there been anybody thought of gathering all of them coming back to Malaysia to make one movie, right? And then he was like, someone just said this to me last week. You are the second person. Like, oh, who was it? Apparently it was the director Anu. Anu is a very famous figure. He's a very famous singer in Asia. So it was like, oh, okay. So what are we going to do about it? Then Alin said, okay, just meet up and let's talk. And that's where we planted the seed, and then everything went from there lah. It was an eye opener to me, of course. And then I was the producer of the movie. Imagine 2008. I was 24 years old. When we shot the movie in 2009, I was 25 years old. So 25 years old as a producer of the movie is pretty crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I got lucky because there was this triangle force among us. So Anu, the director, he works on all the creative parts, like talking to cast, making the stories right. And Alien, he takes care of all the production-related matters, like get the permit, this and that, hiring crews, managing the production and everything, right? So me as a newbie, I could only do things that they couldn't. For example, contracts, accounting, legal stuff.
Now, that's a creative problem.
Yeah, in a way.
No, I can vouch for it.
Yeah. So anyway, distribution, contractual stuff, investment, this and that. So I threw myself into a sea of didn't know how to swim. So I just threw myself into it, and then this is true. I even bought because I have a degree in filmmaking. I know nothing about accounting, right? So I bought like dummies for accountants, a dummy for accounting dummies for managers, something like that. So I had to study, like literally. So when I talk to people, at least I know the terms, I know how it works, this and that. This is true. I went through that process. So yeah, that's how I got to know films through legal work, through contract, through distribution, through terms, through understand investors' perspective. That's how I started my journey as a filmmaker. And then because Ais Kacang, it was a great film, and then we did like pretty well. Like it was a record-breaking movie back then. Then I got to know a lot of people because of that movie. Like I know GSC, TGV, everybody, even politicians. And because of Ais Kacang Puppy Love, me and Anu, both of us, we went on headline a couple of times. Because I mean, this is a long story. I mean, do we have time?
Please go ahead. We have the time. Yeah.
Because back then, for only Malay films could be qualified as local films, and hence only Malay films can get back the tax rebate. Back then, in early 2010, we have this tax rebate, entertainment tax rebate, where all the you know about entertainment tax, right?
Yeah.
So all your box office you got taxed at 20-25%, and then if you are qualified as Malaysian film, you can actually get back 30% of the entertainment tax, which is a lot of money, right? But we were not qualified for that. We couldn't apply for that. And of course, I went to check. And after, like I said, legal stuff, that was my territory back then for that particular production. So I actually studied and went through the whole syarat of wajib tayang. So, or to be classified local film lah. And then we actually qualified for every single criteria except one, which is the movie must have at least 70 or 80% Malay.
Yeah.
Language in it. So that's why we challenged her, like, hey, how come can only be Malay? It's a Chinese kampong movie. It doesn't make sense if all the Chinese people speak Malay in kampong. It's not, that doesn't reflect how we speak in real life. So we fought for it lah. So we fought for it. Now I said, we need to review this rules. This ruling is outdated because when they made this rule back in the 80s, probably no one thought of one day Chinese would make films. It makes sense. I mean, I understand. But rules like this, you have to update lah. You have to update based on the industry lah, right? So now we have Chinese filmmakers right now, so it should be refreshed, right? So we fought for it. And then I met a lot of politicians, and then we even went to parliament because politicians sometimes
You went to parliament?
but of course we didn't go into it. We did not, but because there are politicians who promise us this and that, moons and stars, but didn't follow up. We couldn't reach him in the end, so we have to go to parliament to wait for him. And then when we went to parliament, because I knew he's a famous figure, reporters got to know him, and so we create attention lah. And then when they ended their meeting and then they come out, the minister sees us, he has to entertain us because the media attention that we got, right? So all sort of thing we went through for that first movie, crazy lah. And eventually, because of that, one of the ministers actually advised me to set up an association, which is still running right now. It's called Chinese Film Association of Malaysia. I was the founder and I was the president for the first 2 terms. Because she said, the minister YB Heng, she said, next time if you have a problem, if you voice out as an individual, it's difficult for the government to help you, right? Who are you, right? So it's better to gather everybody under one umbrella, and then next time you voice through the umbrella, then you carry some weight. Yeah, that's what she told me, and then that's exactly what I did. So that's the birth of CFAM, and pretty much after Ais Kacang, on the same year, because I wanted to be a filmmaker, I also want to be a director, right? So if I remember correctly, Ice Kacang released in April 2010. We were sandwiched between Iron Man and Ip Man.
Wow.
It was crazy lah. At that time, what did I know, right? Like I just want to get my film out on the screen. I don't care which movie is competing against my movie. I just want to get it out, right? But if you ask me right now, hold your horses, don't release. It's Ip Man and Iron Man crazy.
Yeah.
But we still did very well back then. So
imagine with these two big tentpole movies.
yes, really tempo movie, like lay the foundation for the Ip Man series and the Marvel Universe's MCU, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and on the same year, because I got to know Mr. Tong, all these big shots in the industry, and then as a 25, 26 years old kid, I got nothing to lose. I just say, hey guys, why don't we make another film, like to release end of the year, December 2010. Yes. So there's okay. What movie you want to do, Adrian? Then I proposed my own story lah. Yeah. So that's my directorial debut, Lelu Popo. It's a story about two male DJ who lost their job and then trying to figure out a way to survive. So they pretend themselves to be old ladies, something like Mrs. Doubtfire, that kind of thing. Yeah. So but they throw themselves into like a old people's radio channel to talk about life problem story. Like it's a comedy. So that's how I found my way to.
So tell me, what are the key influences and experiences that have shaped your approach to filmmaking?
I would say to understand what investor wants. That would be my first concern.
Not the audience.
No. Of course, whatever we produce, the audience would want to see, right? And then that is given. Like I need to make comedy. I need to make a commercially viable kind of genre, like comedy, horror, action. I did my study back then, but for me to pull through a movie or for me to pull through a project to convince investor to put money into my project is to understand what investor wants. You know what I mean? So like, of course, everybody wants their money back.
Yeah.
So when I approach my investors for my first movie, I get all the strategic partners to come in, right? Not just like, for example, GSC. Of course, they invest in my movies, and then GSC being GSC, they have their cinema, they have other sort of income from the project. So that's a plus point. And then I get Mr. Chia from Mega Cineplex. He owns a cinema. He runs a cinema in Penang. It's the same thing like GSC. You invest in a movie, there's a potential return from the movie itself, and also you can get extra income from a cinema rental. And then I get this PMP, they are the DVD distributor. They sell DVD. So if you invest in it, DVD rights is yours. So you have another way of making your money. And then I get Singapore partner to come in. Then you know what? You invest in this movie, Singapore market, you can distribute it. So I try to get all the strategy partners who has like second interest on the movie other than investment, right? So that's how I spoke to them back then. And then I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I was the one who convinced GSC to start investing in Malaysian films. Yeah, if you look at their investment history, the first would be mine. First, second, third were mine. Because I remember doing this chart, presenting to Mr. Tong, explaining to them that, hey, you know what? GSC should be investing in local movies. Here's why. And I remember doing all the charts and everything. No matter what, you guys will still make money. Left pocket, right pocket.
Yeah, that's why Mr. Tung was here for the podcast. He came. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Rahmat and Mr. Tung was here. Yeah. And that's how he was telling that during the whole COVID thing and how the library was empty and how they had to now invest aggressively in content.
Yeah.
And that was the whole idea. He also talked a lot about, behind the camera, talked about how you get everybody together and how you make your films.
Oh, last time? Good old days. Yeah, but anyway, so, understanding what audience wants, that's given as priority as a filmmaker, but how to pull through your project is always about how you convince your investors and knowing what they want and see if you can fulfill or you can gauge their expectation. Like if everybody wants to make money, but how would you want to make money? How much money are you willing to invest? Say you have 3 million to spend on a movie. Don't invest everything in one single project. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's investment 101. So I would say, okay, if you have 3 million, okay, why don't we? I'm in no rush in making movies, but you know what? For this movie, if you're ready for 3 million, I'll just take 1 million. Save the other 2 for me for other projects. Let me help you. Give me more chance to help you make money. So that's how you talk to people. Something like this.
Oh, but that worked beautifully for you,
Yeah.
because that's one of the reasons why there's so many movies
Yes.
you've been able to complete. So your films often explore diverse themes, and genres. How do you decide on the stories which what you want to make?
Sometimes I'm not sure about you, but for me, there are always moments where I would suddenly like, hey, hang on, what if I do this? Like for example, the reason why I made Paskal, right? I was at a crossroad that time, so I was thinking of changing industry. Don't want to continue as my career as a filmmaker, because I was making Chinese film, and then everybody who make Chinese film wants to go to China. That's a fact. So I had my fair bit of experience going over to China in 2014, 13 to 17. For that 5 years, I flew a lot to China. I had 5 film deals signed with different China companies, and they all paid me director's fee. And I went there. They flew me business class, this and that, and then we sat down, discussed on script, everything locked, but never happened, right? So I got frustrated. So in 2017, I got frustrated because Malaysian Chinese film. I mean, of course, they are doing great right now after so many years. But I thought, I couldn't see the light behind the tunnel back then. Then, because I wanted to do, I don't like to do the same thing over and over and over again. So I directed a lot of Chinese New Year films, which is comedy, for a number of years. Then I thought, hey, am I just a Chinese New Year movie director? I'm not.
Getting typecast.
Yeah, getting typecast, and I get bored, and then I couldn't enjoy Chinese New Year. Like first day Chinese New Year, wake up, hi, 恭喜发财, and then check phone or check box office, this and that, check out the cinema, or is it full? Hey, GSC is full already. Open another show. No, enough is enough. So then I started doing non-Chinese New Year films, and of course I did okay as well. But then the market is so small for Chinese market per se. And then when I was still at the crossroad, then someone told me about, hey, have you heard about? Do you know Malaysian? We have our own special forces, Paskal. I was like, what? We have our own Malaysia? Are you kidding me? We have our own special forces, Paskal. Yeah, you should check it. You should check them out. They're really cool. Then I look on the internet and then I study them. The more I study them, the more I felt, wow, it's impressive. They are really good. And then I was inspired them to then tell a story about Paskal. So it's always the moment, like there must be that particular moment must caught my attention for me to be inspired to tell that story. That for me, like but after I shot Paskal, I knew about Black Hawk Down, and then but I didn't knew it was Malaysian who went into the city. So when I was shooting Paskal, then when we were talking to military guys, and they say, hey, you know what, Black Hawk Down, it was us. And I was like, fuck, it was us. And then I went on to do my research, and then I interviewed one of the major who went into the city in 2018. Yes, that's when I knew I had to do it. So I kept it in my mind, and then I eventually shot in 2022. Like the movie my next movie coming out is Gold. It's a true story about our first Malaysian Paralympic gold medalist, Chalik Hao, and then it will be released in July this year. So the reason why I wanted to do that story, because when he won the medal in 2021 Tokyo Paralympic, I actually accidentally, by coincidence, I watched the interview of Dato' Rashid Siddiq, who is his coach back then. Who is his coach? Not now, I think back then. So the interview, the clip was Dato' Rashid. He was doing the interview alone, right, facing the camera, because it was COVID anyway. And then Chalik Hao, the badminton player, like video bump or interview bump the Dato' Rashid. So he just didn't care. They were talking. Then Chalik Hao came in and then put the gold medal on his neck and said, "Coach, this is for you." I got goosebumps. Even thinking of it right now, I got goosebumps.
Same here.
Yeah.
Just listening to it.
Yeah. So and then after, of course, knowing Dato' Rashid's history, right? He couldn't, like, he won bronze in Atlanta in 1996. Then he couldn't win gold for Malaysia. He was actually the first one before Lee Chong Wei. Before Lee Chong Wei, he was the first Malaysian hope, at the strike of gold in Olympic events, right? So this is how it got me. So I was determined. Then I kept it in my mind, and then I shot it in 2023 last year. And then, because the reason why I shot it in 2023, because this year is Paris Olympic. So I wanted to release the movie close to the event, so it resonates, and then hopefully serves as a motivation piece to all the athletes from Malaysia who will be going to Paris.
It's a fantastic story, by the way. I mean,
Yeah. His story is fantastic. And sadly, like when I met him, nobody knows him. He's 11 times world champion, now 12 times world champion. But nobody knows him because it's a para-badminton thing. So people just think about badminton, right? So if you ask me how do I find stories to make, it's always, most of the time I find my inspiration in toilet. Yeah, that's a fact. So because when I'm in toilet, I was always scroll through my phones or I read my books and everything. That's where I got inspired. I don't want to keep on doing same thing over and over again. That's my philosophy in making films.
And so that's the reinvention with every new film which you make.
Reverse, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done quite a number of action films, and then even the media or the moviegoers would like, they will categorize me as an action film director. I don't see myself as an action film director. I see myself more like a storyteller. I want to tell a story that intrigue me, that I have I can find an angle to show it to people. So as of now, I kind of stepping away from action a little while, like how I step away from Chinese New Year movie.
Yeah.
Trying to do something different. Hence, Reversi, we just did our world premiere in Italy 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm going to come to that
Yeah.
question later.
Yeah.
Because we need to have a separate question for that.
Sure,
I want
sure.
you to talk about that
Yeah.
one. Malaysian cinema has been and have seen a significant growth in the last few years.
Yep.
And there's a lot of recognition also around the world now. So how do you perceive the evolution of the Malaysian film industry?
I think that the trend that local audience accepting local films is a global trend, right? Because technology now is so convenient. We can consume content, consume anything at any given time with a click of our finger, right? Because it's a global thing where, previously, when, back in those days, we don't have 5G, we don't have AI, we don't have this, we don't have that, an international title would appeal to us automatically. Like pop, there's a Hollywood title, let's go watch. Malaysian film, tunggu, that kind of thing. So when information's entertainment or content is at our fingertips, and then when we get bombarded, we get flooded by all these kind of blockbusters, this and that, we get tired, right? Not to say we get tired, but we get used to it. We get used to it. That's when, hey, why don't we watch something of our own? It's a global thing. Like any advanced country in the world, France, Japan, Korea, the highest grossing movies are their own movies in their own language. Look at China, right? It is not Hollywood films, right? Hollywood films kind of like loses its ground because of the technology advancement. So that's when I think Malaysia, we are picking up on that, because are you tired of watching another Marvel superhero movie?
That's what it's showing. It's that people are not going to watch another Marvel story.
Exactly. And when the need to consume will always be there. The crave of getting entertained will always be there. But the content of which people would want to consume varies. Sometimes this, sometimes that. But I believe at the end of the day, people want to look at something that relate to us, relate to ourselves. That is why the spike of box office, Malaysian local movies box office in recent years shows that kind of like we are kind of moving on par with some other countries in the world. We want to look at our own story at big screen. You want to look at the familiar environment, familiar language, or the issues that resonate easily with us, or our Malaysian problems, social problems being portrayed in big screen, and then have a laugh about it, or have a thought about it. Where we can talk about it, or I always see filmmakers as a social doctors, right? You bring up social issues into your own content, and then let people think or thought or discuss about it. So that's the magical part of a movie, right? That you can either bring people together or you can separate people. So yeah, I think we are moving in a good direction per se, because at the end of the day, if Malaysian audience don't support Malaysian film, where would Malaysian filmmaker go?
Yeah.
Right. So, and Malaysian film, sadly to say, that there's a chance for us to do well here in Malaysia right now, but outside of Malaysia, Singapore maybe, yes, but that's about it. Brunei, of course, inclusive of Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, onwards, no. So if we want our movie to grow, if we want to watch more better quality films, like more different genres, different varieties of Malaysian films, Malaysian audience has to support Malaysian films. If not, we got suffocated, we got choked. How can we survive? How do we provide more entertainment to the audience, right?
See, you have done a lot of tentpole films, big action films.
Yeah.
What is the process of making a tentpole film?
See, if you're talking about my own filmography,
Yeah.
my tempo film will be like Paskal, Malpat,
Yeah,
those big,
yeah.
big title films. It's tough.
Even in 2024, it's still tough.
I don't know about others, but it's tough for me. It is tough for me because it is like I remember saying this to all my ADs. 30 minutes before we started rolling Paskal when we were in Lumut, I told them, guys, we are trying to do something that no one has done before. We have very limited budget. It's like a pep talk, We have very limited budget. We have very tight shooting schedule. So I just want to say here, right now, in front of every one of you, it doesn't matter whether or not this movie will sell. It doesn't matter or not if this movie will be well received, or people will like it or people will hate it. Doesn't matter. If we can finish shooting this movie within the schedule, within the budget, we already won the battle. That's my pep talk to them, because it was really tough. And then because making such a not big budget movie per se, right? It's not just difficult from the budget wise or from getting the right cast and etc. It was difficult from the get go, like the political side of it, the hierarchy that you have to climb in the armed forces or in the navy. You know how many doors I knocked, and then if you go in, like every unit has their own CEO, their commanding officers. Every department has their person in charge, this and that. It is tiring. Of course, it has to be done. You have to respect their protocol. You have to respect their hierarchy. So to me, and then after I shot Paskal, after it was a success, I also remember telling this to my team. Like in one of the makan gathering, I said, look, if same resources were given to some other directors, any other directors in Malaysia, I might not be the best director the best director to direct Paskal. If all things are equal, every directors in Malaysia has the same resources like me to direct Paskal. My version of Paskal might not be the best, but I'm pretty damn sure I might be the only one, if not one of the few, who could pull this off.
Who made it happen?
Who could make it happen? Yeah. So that was true. I told this to everybody. Yeah. So I always reflect on myself, and I don't think I'm great. I just always assess and evaluate why I did this. Kenapa? How did I do it? I always assess my own scenario per se.
I think you picked on a really good point, because what you said, that you might not be what you're telling your team, right?
Yeah.
That you might not be the best person to do a film like that, but eventually you got it made. And I think majority of the directors forget that you have to deliver.
You have to deliver, exactly.
And if you don't deliver, the future projects will be definitely dependent on that.
Exactly. You are as good as your last film.
Yeah.
My partner, my Singapore partner, always told me. Especially even back then when I was still doing my Chinese film. Some of my Chinese film did sell very well, and then he always keep me grounded. Like, Adrian, you don't get cocky, you don't get big-headed right now. You're as good as your last film. Make sure your next film is as good as your previous one. So I always reminded myself and then keep myself grounded based on those advice that I always get from my partners. I have good partners. The reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing right now, to be who I am right now, is because I always got good partners who always keep me grounded, tell me stuff, or sometimes it's hard truth, ugly stuff, things that I don't want to hear, but I always take them. Yeah.
That's the best partners to have,
Yeah.
because they basically give you the reality check you need.
Yes. Don't get carried away by internet, don't get carried away by comments, don't carry away by results. Keep yourself grounded.
Because you're, like you said, you're only good as your last film.
Yes.
So can you describe what is your process from conceptualizing an idea to executing it, to selling it, and finally seeing your work on the big screen?
I mean, like any other filmmaker, I guess, you have this seed planted in your mind that I want to tell this story. So sometimes I don't even have a full storyline. I just have a few scenes that I want to tell. If these scenes as such, and then connect with this scene, that makes this character very interesting. So maybe I can tell the story about this character. And then that's how I started to most of the time, how I do my movie is that the first page synopsis or the first story always comes from me. I will have I'll have the story concept ready, and then I'll look for the right script writers, and then we sit down, we discuss, and then we will develop the story together. But the structure of the story always comes from me. That's 100%. And then the script writers will chip in, help me to lay out, flush out everything, and then we work from there. And when I think I might develop 3 to 4 stories simultaneously and see how it goes. And then when I think that story is matured enough, and hey, okay, you know what? I think this is good enough. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to start talking to people. So, and then of course, because I've been in the industry for 16 years, I kind of have my own sense towards what the market wants, what the audience.
And what will work and what won't work.
I can't guarantee of what will work and what might not work because I'm not God. I'm as good as my sense, so I can only guess and make a bet on it. So when I think this project makes sense, so I will roughly estimate how much budget I should put to make this project, and then I will start talking to people. And then the first people right now, last time when I in younger days, I would talk to everybody. Hey, you know what? I got this movie. I wouldn't get tired of presenting my ideas, talking to people, showing charts, this and that. That was back in those days. I'm not young anyway right now. So now, but that's the process. Talk to investors, this and that, this and this and that. And then you can kind of like get their feedback. Sometimes the feedback that I get or the things that I would pay attention to is not what they say, it's how they react. People say good things to you. But the gesture, it's like, oh, Adrian, it's actually a very good story. What do you tell?
The body
language, right?
Yeah.
So or it's like, hey, it's good. I think, it's interesting, So it's not about what they say, it's how they react to it. Sometimes people try to be polite, So read within the text. So anyway, that's how the process. And I talk to investors and then have an overall gauge about how those players look at the story and to see if I want to proceed. Say if I proceed, then then I always dictate the story. I don't let my investors come in to tell me what to do unless it makes sense to me. Of course, we discuss and then they will give me their concern. If I would think I'm a very objective person. I make sense, and then if you can convince me that this is wrong, 9 out of 10 I would listen. Like, of course, I have to give myself a lifeline. 10 out of 10, I won't, the last time I won't listen, right? Yeah. So because to me, I think ultimately, creative part of a script is very subjective. You can't be objective.
Yep.
You cannot be listened to anybody. You're going to lose your grip, you're going to lose your touch to it, you're going to lose direction.
Yep.
So I think art, in that sense, is selfish.
Yes.
Yeah. Ultimately, you can be objective, listening to everybody's opinion on the story, this and that, this and that. But ultimately, it comes down to a very selfish way. You decide. So I open my doors to my investors or whoever, scriptwriters and everything, in front. And when it comes to the final part, it's always me. It has to be like that.
Yeah.
There's no way that you listen to everybody.
You're the director. You have that unified vision.
Yes, you need to be rightfully selfish at the end to know that this is your product and you decide where it goes and the direction which direction it should head. So things like this lah. And then after that I shoot and this and that, and then of course I think because I think I'm one of the few directors in Malaysia who also produce. I produce all my films. So I always change cap. I producer cap, director's cap. So which is why I think I can make decision very quickly because I don't have to go back to people. And I invest in most of my films and I have a fair bit of stake in all my projects. So when I decide something, I have the ground to do that. So like contoh on set, hujan, raining. Should we wait or should we postpone, wait for another day? If you cancel the shoot, go for another day, money. It's always money. So I always, on my mind, that producer cap never left. But like, wait, don't care, wait. And then my AD will come to me, hey, this actor tomorrow he cannot, this one he cannot. I can make decision on set very quickly. And then even if it's like, memang nobody wants over budget, right? But if my project over budget, me being a stakeholder to it, it is genuine. It's not like I purposely want to drag it, this and that, this and that. So, and I always come down to, I'm very particular. Like, because I'm a producer, right? For my movies, I always tell my crew, the assistant, I remember the assistant, 1 second, take 12 hours per day, 12 hours shooting per day, and then let's say 40 days of shoot. and then you break your total budget. You minus off the post production, CG, mixing, all that, right? So whatever is left is your production cost on set. Divided that by your shooting day, divided by hours, divided by minutes, divided by seconds. For the assistants, 1 second is 1 ringgit and 70 cents. 1 second.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I tell my team, guys, if I want to roll the camera is here, I want to roll this, the cup is not here. Art department put it there. Sorry, director, I go and get it. Pop up, pergi sana, take the class, put it back here, let's say 20 seconds. 34 ringgit gone. That's how I calculate my risk on set.
That's such a great learning.
Yeah.
And I think once you start thinking from that perspective and you have your skin in the game,
Yeah.
that is where you value time,
Exactly.
budget.
I'm a very punctual guy. I never late. Not even once I was late for my set after so many years. Like even my meetings, those who work with me for many times, my actors, actors, they have their own way of thinking, right? But when it comes to me, they dare not to be late. Those who work with me many times, even sometimes I ajak, they all lepak, just lepak, makan, they also won't be late because they know me. Our appointment 9:30, I got here 9:10, 9:05.
Yeah.
So that's me. I value people's time. I don't want you to waste your time and you don't waste my time. Yeah.
That's respect. That's respect
Yeah,
in
yes.
our production, industry. That
Yes.
you have to respect time. You have to
Yes.
respect people's, being
Exactly.
there.
Your time, other people's time is as important as your time. Yeah.
That's a great learning also for our viewers and listeners to that. And what are the challenges do you face, as in the past as a filmmaker while working in Malaysia?
See, I have so many things that I think those are challenges, but yet again, I always counter myself like, hey, you shouldn't think like this. You should. There's always two sides of me, right? To me, for example, I think our censorship is one of the big problem because we can't do too edgy stuff, we can't tell too sensitive stuff, and we need to hold our horses in terms of creativity in many ways. But also again, if you are creative enough, those shouldn't be problem.
You'll work around it.
You work on it. If you are creative enough, but somehow it still presents to it is still a problem to me. But you have to work around it. Right? It shouldn't hinder you from making good films. Okay, no, that if you cannot make good films because of the censorship problem, then you're not a good filmmaker. But you cannot make good films because of censorship also. You see, it's like kind of chicken and egg problem. And I think the other problem is technical side of it. We don't have enough equipments in Malaysia for us to do great stuff, great shots, things like that. We don't even have Russian arm until this year. So Russian arm is just like an arm attached to a car for you to do high speed car chasing scene. We don't have that. We just got it this year. AFE is bringing one. Things like this lah. I think those are the challenges. And budget, of course, will never be enough. I think the genre is one of the problem right now because you can only, if you want a movie to sell, make horror film, make action film, make comedy. Those are the three that work. Drama, love story. So to me, those are the challenges.
Even audiences, preferences for films. That is also
Yes, audience preferences, and I think as a producer, as a director, as a director, audience preference is always a challenge, and also the equipment stuff. But for producers, I think FINAS or KKMM can do better. I don't believe in grant. I'm not a believer in grant. I took marketing grant before to help to market my movie overseas, but I never taken any production grant before. Because grant is like breastfeeding. Your kid will never grow, right? So the correct way to encourage your kid to grow is to stop the breastfeed. Don't give grants. Give grant to first-time filmmakers. Give grants to those who needs it, but not 10 years filmmakers. Those experienced filmmakers. That's just my personal opinion. But help them in other way. Like FIMI is good. FIMI is helping the filmmakers, right? But sadly, we were there that day. We know what's going to happen to FIMI. It's so sad. Road to Oscar, yay. Anyway, so and I think the right way to encourage the industry to grow is to find a platform for us to learn to be self-sufficient. Okay, to me, entertainment tax. That's the biggest problem to me. Like we have so many taxes in Malaysia already, and then you're still charging us a hefty of 20%, 25% of entertainment tax, some states, right? That is killing us. To me, that is killing us. And of course, piracy. Okay, that's another thing, another big problem, another big issue, TV boxes and that. So these are the problems that I think major concern to me.
You picked up a very good point on piracy.
Yeah.
How do you feel when your movies get pirated?
When those days my Chinese movie got pirated, because those days you don't have OTT, you don't have Netflix, do this and that, and then once your movie sold, once your movie screened in the cinemas and then sold to TV and then released on DVD, that's it, right? And that's it. And then you just like literally, I would even tell myself, hey, your movie got pirated because the movie is good, people want to watch, you know.
There was
the
trend.
there was a trend. Yeah. But now no, because now you got pay TV, you got OTT. It always affects your viewership, right? And like I was telling you just now, like Malbat. Last year we screened the movie Last Merdeka, and then months later, I believe it's January or February this year, and I would, you know, in one of my WhatsApp group, we all have so many WhatsApp groups, right? I can't remember which WhatsApp group, but there was this Dato. Okay, there's this Dato. Out of one fine day, I don't know, in January or February, and then he just shared my movie, Malbat, a link in the group. Hey guys, this is a Malaysian film. I can't believe it. Go watch it. It's so good. But it's a YouTube pirated link. And I think he forgets that I'm in the group. Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, it's a norm for Malaysian people to watch pirated stuff. They don't care about IP. They don't care about rights. They just want to consume entertainment for free if it's possible, right? Those ideas or the perception to value IP, it's just not embedded in us Malaysian. We just want to get things for free. Like things like this won't happen in Europe, where they respect IP, they respect artists, they respect talent. In Malaysia, IP, talent, movies should be free. That's the mentality of the third world country, developing country. Because when daily problem is not solved, you know, country problem is not solved, we have corruption problem, this and that, where we should aim to settle these kind of big problems, and all these small things should entertain us for free. But that's why people go for piracy. Imagine a society or a country where it's free from corruption, advanced country, this and that. We are living, you know, we are enjoying life per se, and then we have the spare space or moment in our life that, you know, hey, we should appreciate talent. You know, right now, I'm not sure if you have any artists, any, like, you know, actors, actress friends lah. Except those who already make it, like A-lister, super big, where they go out, people recognize them, appreciate them. Those C-lister, B-lister, I kesian them because people don't care. Oh, you apa? Oh, itu ah. Oh, okay lah. You know, it's like kesian lah. And unless you make it there, if not, people don't care about you. Yeah. People don't appreciate talent. You know, they don't appreciate talent. That's why piracy problem is getting. I'm not sure it got worse or got better. It's always there to me, the piracy problem. And just imagine if you don't have piracy here in Malaysia, where all the filmmakers are getting whatever they deserve, or, you know, their hard work getting paid equally in revenue, it will be a different scenario here in Malaysia. And road to Oscar is possible.
So where is the road to Oscar right now?
6 feet underground. Yeah. Because, like I said, I mean, we always aim high. Like, we have Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh. We have Tiger Strike last year. But it's just like I mentioned just now, do you want to raise the cost of living, or you want to raise the standard of living in KL, or you just want to build another skyscraper, right? To me, raising the standard of living in KL would encourage more skyscraper to be built in future more easily. But if you ignore that, you just want short-term result, pop, I want another skyscraper in KL, then we can just hope for another Tiger Stripe, another Tiger Stripe, another Abang Adik, things like this lah. But if you raise the standard overall of the Malaysian filming industry, and then when we, as a filmmaker, find it comfortable to make all sorts of film in Malaysia, and we have enough backing up from the government, you know, and local audience watch our movie, then when you're happy, you tend to do things better. As simple as that. So and then you tend to cultivate or encourage more filmmakers or more younger generation filmmakers to come in and really, make more better films, make good films, right? So I think that should be the aim. Road to Oscar is just politicians wants to have short-term result, and
with no proper roadmap.
with what I can't say that because I don't know what's the roadmap for the government or KKMM right now to apply this road to Oscar, but they just want something short-term, something tangible for their own political gain.
But then Oscar road is not that easy.
It's not.
Because even if we can't make it to Busan, how are we going to make it to Oscar?
No, see, nobody cares about Malaysian film. Let's put it this way, at the international stage, nobody cares about Malaysian film because we are not being seen enough or regularly at festivals yet. Okay, because we don't have enough good films at festivals. I'm talking about those big ones, legit ones, prestigious ones, not those that you can buy to win award, right? I mean, if you notice, like we have we have quite a number of Malaysian films pay to those whatever awards and then buy and then they win all sorts of awards. Do you know about this?
No, I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware? Okay. I mean, it's impressive. Last couple of years, there were a few titles won like 76, 80 international awards. Won like 20, 30 international awards. And then the movie, when it's screened in cinema, flopped badly, like flopped big time. And when you watch the movie also, this movie won an award, you question yourself. So those awards, it's a business, right? Those kind of awards is a business-based award. So, for example, me, okay, I want to make money, okay? So I create this. I find a very beautiful name, Cannes. What was it again? There's a Cannes Film Festival or something. It's just a festival that I create that happened in Cannes. So I make it Cannes Festival. It's not the Cannes that we know. Right?
Like some of the movie distributors, they just screen their movie in Cannes, and then the press release says
they get selected.
movie got screened in Cannes.
Yeah, something like this.
It's not a selection.
It's not a selection. Yeah. Like my movie Reversi is screening. It's gonna be screened in Cannes, but then I'm not selected. It's just a market screening, right? It's different. It's a totally different thing. Anyway, coming back to what I said just now. So we are not being seen enough regularly at internationals or big time film festival. So people won't take us seriously. That's number one. So, road to Oscar is really, to me, is a political campaign. It's a political campaign, and then where politicians, they don't actually care about us. They just want short and fast result. Yeah, they don't actually care about the growth of the industry, how to bring us up at once or all at once. They just want result, which is stupid to me.
It's a good headline to say.
It's a sexy headline. That's why we always call it sexy, attractive headline, road to Oscar. But it's not tangible. It's just a bit far-fetched. Like even I've spoken to some producers who had their films who campaigned for Oscar before. They're gonna spend millions. They've spent millions in US dollar to campaign for their movies in Oscar. Are we ready to do that? Say if next year we have this fantastic film, let's say ABC. Pops up and then, oh my God, it's the best ever film that we have ever watched, best ever Malaysian film. Let's go, let's push it for Oscar, okay? But for you to be competing in Oscar, you need funding from the government or you need funding from the producers to back up the campaign, to really campaign and to have a go at it, right? Are we ready for that? No. Like I told you just now, Parasite, the Korean movie, they won so many big awards, so top awards in Oscar, right? Best movie, best actress and sort. And you have to look at the commercial side of it. Parasite made so much money in Korea, made so much money internationally. So if I'm the producer, I've already made my capital, I've already made so much. So am I willing to pay more to campaign it for Oscar? Hey man, that's the last step of the movie, of any movie can go. Why wouldn't I? And then plus, it's a fantastic film and then well received everywhere. I can talk to my government. Hey, why don't we split? Why don't government support us? Like hand in hand, we bear the cost, we do it together. Are we ready to do that? Even given that if we have that, if we have our Malaysian Parasite, are we ready to do that, Finas? Like, come on lah. The last FIMI event that we went, we even have to beg money from MOF to support the only functional scheme in Finas that works for everybody fairly. Like I use the word fairly because I don't want to go there, but anyway, because FIMI is very credit-based. It has its credits lah. So many years
No,
already.
they are doing a fantastic job.
Exactly.
Basically,
And
they get things done.
they get things done, and to me, that's the only the best scheme, and probably the only scheme that makes sense to me in Finas. And yet we have to beg money for it, right? Wasn't that what we went? The reason why we went to the whatever forum that day with Dato Azmi? Yeah, it was exactly that. The only working thing in Finas that we have to beg money for it. And you want to talk about Road to Oscar? Come on lah, wake up lah, make up your mind lah, please.
No, you're right. You're right. Means that's a pipe dream. But yeah, at least there is something to look forward to. Man, I think there's a lot of work to be done towards it. To even think of walking on that road to Oscar at this point of time.
I won't hold my breath for it, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the talents in our country as well as in our industry. We have great filmmakers. We have great talent in the country. But why are we not developing more of them? Because we have a very small talent pool. How do you think it can be grown? How do you think we can get good technicians, good scriptwriters, and other HODs?
Because our industry, filming industry in Malaysia, is not great. A lot of people don't see the feasibility of coming into this industry and making a living out of it. It's not feasible for a lot of people. Like my mom, I told you just now, right? When I wanted to become a filmmaker, the first one to object vigorously was my mom. Like, she's told me, like, it's not feasible to make a living out of filmmaking. What can you do in Malaysia? Like, what is there, like, they got movie in Malaysia one, that kind of thing. And they just don't see a prospect out of it by making films, right? So, of course, we have Maki Lau, we have Sheriff, we have Police Evo, great box office numbers, but in general, the industry is not good. We are growing, yes, we're getting better yet, but it's not good enough for people, like for commoners to really dive into this industry. And I think that's number one, because of the market. Because of the market, we are growing, but then it's not there yet, unless we are like Korea, where the countryman itself supports this movie.
But fully. Korea right now, what Korea is, that has been in works in the last 35 years.
Yeah, since 1997, 1999, I think. Yeah, they started this whole change of country's image. Decades. It takes them decades.
The soft power.
Yeah. The soft power. It takes them like decades. But no lah. I know people always use Korea as the blueprint or the way, but the blueprint to talk to Finas, this and that. I just don't see us doing that, because our government, every time tukar government, tukar ideology, tukar slogan, tukar this, tukar that. It's like, you look at US, UK, those developed country, advanced country. So their government, regardless of whichever party takes charge, they have like say if they want to build a building, right? They have a blueprint of how to build the building, how to lead the country, right? So if change government, they just change the material to it, or just change the way of building it, but they are building towards the same goal, eventually. But Malaysia, every time tukar government, start from scratch. The whole country's direction, the country's economic plan, everything starts from scratch, and then follow the new prime minister's vision. How? Susah. So I just don't see us lah. I just don't see us growing that fast, because you always get halt. Like even let's say right now, government suddenly let's put more money into this industry. Let's support a film industry better, this and that, for 5 years. Next prime minister come in. No lah, this one what's the GDP? No lah, we focus more on other industry. So it's tough lah, stuff. I don't think we can have like 5 or 6 terms of governments who has to share the same vision to bring up Malaysian filming industry. I don't see that.
Now let's talk about your new movie, River Sea. Means you just got featured at one of the most prestigious European film festival. Tell us what the movie is all about.
The story is it's a love story. It's a time traveling love story. It's a new genre, a drama genre that I have not done in Malay language yet. See, the first thing I told my investors about this movie, guys, let's try not to make money for this movie. Let's see how far this version of the story can go in Malaysia. So the way I approached it, even I told my actors, my actress, I said, guys, I want to do this movie. This is not a commercially driven project. Okay, if you hoping to bring up your reputation by doing a movie with me, which is gonna hit big box office, this is not a project. This is an experimental project for me because I like the story. I wrote the story about 8 years ago before I started Paskal. So this story, I first written it for one of the China company, and then it didn't happen. I kept it in my fridge. I kept it in my library, and then until I watched Imaginal. So I watched Imaginal last year. Like it was so refreshing. I texted Nick Ami. I said, "Hey, fantastic movie. We need more of this." You know, I really love the movie. And then it got me thinking, hey, I got something like this, which is Reverse C, but I already kept it like for years. And you know, also again, it came to me at the right time, like Paskal. It came to me at the right time where I was thinking like, hey, no lah, enough action lah. You know, like you directed a 20 million budget movie in Malaysia already, in Malbat, right? So give it a break, do something else. So it came to me at the right time in that sense. So I thought, okay, let's do Reverse C. So it's a story. So the way I direct it, to me, it's not a commercially driven project, and I don't want to make it too artsy. Because if it's too artsy, it's very difficult. It's even more difficult to sell in Malaysia. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm an artsy guy, but I studied films. I watched those art house film. I wrote thesis about them, so I know how to appreciate art house film. But I know I cannot go there because my market is in Malaysia. But yet again, I don't want to do a very commercially driven love story, because you know, to do a commercial films, you have a formula to follow. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 has to be finished within 15 minutes, and Act 2 you must have different reports. You have fake victory and this and that, you know, and then Act 3 and how you resolve everything. And then especially for a love story, there's a formula to it. I don't want to follow that formula. So to me, this story, I focus a lot on my character's growth. My lead actor, his name is Akid in the story, played by Beto. Fantastic actor, by the way. So Akid, I focus on his growth. So I screw the 3.x punya tempo. I screw the 3 plots x punya 3x punya tempo, rhythm, everything. Screw that. I focus on the character's growth. So I give a lot of breathing space after plot, because commercial film, it has to be plot after plot after plot after plot after plot, and then it's very plot driven. But this time, the way I direct it, I make it more characters driven. So after one particular incident, I give breathing space to the actors, for the audience to feel the actors, and then carry on, so on and so forth lah. So I try to strive a balance, the balance between artsy film and commercial films, which I hope I can, which I hope the audience can tell, which I hope I did, because in my mind I thought I did, but you never know what the audience will perceive it, right? So it's a very fun and different attempt by me, which I enjoyed it. But I can foresee myself getting very nervous when we want to release this in Malaysia later, because you know, you never know. It's like if it's an action piece from me, I feel secure. I know what to expect.
But that's your comfort zone.
That's my comfort zone. Yes. But that's how I like to challenge myself. You know, do different stuff, this and that.
But that's what you did with The Assistant also, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a completely different genre.
But it's still an
altogether.
action thing in a way. It's an action thriller kind of thing. So yeah, but so when we had our world premiere 2 weeks ago in Italy, surprisingly the reception was good. Like really, like we had standing ovation after the movie ends. We went there because there's nothing to do in Udine. So me, Beto, and Shikin, 3 of us, we watch a lot of movies. That's the only thing you can do there. But it's also a good opportunity to watch a lot of different countries, like films that you can never watch in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Japanese film, this and that. So we watched a lot of films, and not all films were great. And then not all films were being well received. We could tell. Like, you know, some clapping were very fake one, because the director, actors were there. So they were like, you know, like you can tell, you can feel the vibe, right? But us, we had standing ovation. So, and of course we didn't win. It's not the Udine, right? Far East Film Festival. It's not like the festival that we know, like where you have best actor, best director, best script. No, it's not like that. They just have this simple awards. It's called Audience Award. Golden Mulberry Audience Award, where audience gets to vote the film that they like the most. So it was a Japanese film won. I can't remember the name. I didn't watch that movie, so I missed it. And after the screening, after our premiere, like they have this photo session outside. So three of us, we went and we were in our. I wore baju Melayu, and then me and Beto we wore baju Melayu, and she wear modern type of kebaya. And then it was like a fashion thing. So a lot of people came, took picture with us, and then they complimented us. They said a few of them said one caught in camera, like my friend helped me to record. Said, "Oh, this is the best movie that I've watched in this year's festival." Oh, I was excited lah, happy lah, and some of them even commented on our social media, best movie, best movie. So, but those are Italians, you know.
No, but again, you know what? I think audience taste is also changing. So maybe right now you are a bit skeptical about the release in Malaysia, but you will be surprised, means if means they have given so much of love to Imagineur, and they see it as a completely different genre. I think this might really work at this point of time when audience is ready to experiment with new genres.
I hope. And you know what? I'm a very fair guy, you know. So I mean, I don't mind sharing this with you. When I wanted to do Reverse C, I spoke to Nick Amil. You know, I came to him point blank. I told him, like, Nick, I want to do this genre. I think you're a better director than me to direct this kind of genre. Do you want to direct? I just want to produce because it's a good story. I want to make it happen. I told this to Nick at Dean Hatamas, not far near my house. Like he was like, he was done, and then he's like, then eventually it didn't happen because he said he didn't want to direct my story. He didn't mind help me to write the story or to develop the story further, but he didn't want to direct my story per se. He said, you should do it, I should do it. So, you know, I was like that. I don't think I'm great. I don't think I'm good in everything. So I know, and I watch Imagineur. Everybody loves Imagineur. I think Nick has his own unique touch in this kind of genre. So I actually offered him, do you want to direct this? And he said, no. I respect that. Then after that, I went to another director. So I was my last option to direct this movie, just so you know. So I went to another director, Arif, and then we worked together on Dukun Diva, and then he directed One Centif, like a couple of stuff lah. So I went to him, I said, hey, do you want to direct this? He said, okay. So he came on board. He came on board and he introduced the scriptwriter Bujok to me, fantastic scriptwriter. So then he was on board for a couple of weeks, and then we discussed this and that. But eventually he did not direct it because we have different opinions about the direction of the story. Like at a certain point of time, like he thought the story should go here, where my original story should go there, right? So we discussed about it. Both of us were professionals, so we discussed about it, and then of course he thought this is the better way. I would like to stick to my own way, right? And then that's how it didn't happen. We parted ways, and I mean, all things are good. So then, because this story I wrote it 8 years ago, so I tried to approach 2 different directors to direct it. Didn't happen. Fuck, Adrian, you do it yourself lah.
Yeah, but that's the best way to do it, because you know the story so well.
Yeah.
That you are the only, you will justify the story in your way when you're making it.
Yeah.
So I think that was the best direction you could have done.
And I'm glad that I did it myself. I'm glad that I directed myself because it's fun. It's something new. So I like, you know, when I approach a scene, if it's a normal commercial piece, it's easy. I look at it, 5 seconds, I know what to do. Like this, right? But because I want to do a different type of storytelling in Reverse C, right? So when I look at this scene, I would be like, okay, it should be like this, like this, like this. Hang on, no. This, if you do like this, you're yielding into the tempo already. Why would you want to do that, right? You should focus on the character. So I think, okay. Interesting, you know, it's like a new challenge to me, lah.
So looking ahead means, now we are coming to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, what future projects or aspirations do you have in mind for your filmmaking career?
I would still continue to venture into different genres. That's for sure. Do I foresee myself doing action piece again? Not in near future.
But never say never.
Never, yeah, that's why not in near future. At least not for the next 2-3 years, I think. Because to me, film or a movie is such a wide thing for the audience to entertain, right? Not just action piece. Of course, action piece sells better in Malaysia. I understand that. But at the meantime, I would like to try some other genre. Like, who knows, right? Before I did Paskal, nobody did anything about uniform genre, right? Now, there are so many uniform movies in Malaysia. So I'm not saying that I'm the forerunner in exploring new genre, but I don't mind to be, because it doesn't conflict with my purpose of being a filmmaker, that I always want to try new stuff. So Yeah, I foresee myself doing different genre, new stuff, and most important of all, have fun doing whatever I like. Yeah.
And we wish you all the best, Adrian. And thank you so much for coming. And best of luck for Reversey.
Thank you so much.
And we will definitely go to the theaters to watch it when it comes out.
My next one is Gold, actually coming out in July. The badminton one.
So Reversey is not the next
Reversey
one?
will be in Q4. Reversey in Q4, yeah. So the next coming up is the Paralympic gold medalist
Oh, yeah,
story.
yeah.
That one will be coming out in July, 4th of July. 3 weeks before the game. 3 weeks before the game.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So please go ahead, everyone who is watching this, go ahead and watch Gold in theaters. And then later on, Q4.
Reversey, yes.
Reversey.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Adrian.
Okay,
and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Adrian Teh redefining Malaysian tentpole filmmaking in his own unique style and inspiring the next generation of filmmakers in Malaysia. Hope you liked this blockbuster episode of What's Stewing. Till we meet again in the next episode, keep stewing.